Welcome to this Gestalt IT Tech Talks interview brought to you by Portworx by Pure Storage. I'm Frederic Van Haren, the CTO and founder of Hyphens. We specialize in consulting and services for HPC and AI. Today, we will discuss data platforms with Venkat Ramakrishnan from Portworx. Hello, Venkat, and welcome.
Absolutely, Frederick. First of all, thanks for having me here. Really happy to take part in this program to discuss with you some of the stuff about what's happening in the cloud native world and Kubernetes and such. Um, I am Venkat Ramakrishnan. I run products and engineering for Portworx, which is also called the Cloud Native Business Unit inside Pure Storage.
Right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about data platforms. And so we know Portworx is heavily involved with Kubernetes. And, one of the challenges in Kubernetes is stateless data. And so that brings us to databases. Why would anybody run a database on a data platform such as Portworx?
Absolutely. So, just kind of like if I can dial back that question a little bit, Kubernetes is like everywhere you go, you hear this, oh, stateless apps run on Kubernetes, can stateful apps run on Kubernetes, and can data intensive workloads run on Kubernetes? My resounding answer and our customers' resounding answer is yes, you can absolutely run data intensive workloads on Kubernetes. There is nothing in the Kubernetes architecture that prevents it from it being able to serve data intensive workloads. In fact, some of the modern cloud native data intensive workloads like Postgres, MySQL, Mongo, Cassandra, or AI/ML workloads like TensorFlow, Horoward, they're all are Jupyter notebooks. They run really well in a scale out automated platform like Kubernetes, right? Now, with all of the automation that Kubernetes brings to bear, with all of the pod scheduling and the resource management, it really simplifies the job of anyone who run these services internally on their infrastructure on their cloud, so they can focus on more higher level tasks to add more value to their systems, right? But it is not always easy, right? Kubernetes was actually built for app scheduling and managing application resources. In order to run these data intensive services in production at scale, you need that is something similar to Kubernetes, something that's tied well into their Kubernetes control plane and different cloud providers, different orchestrators that can understand applications very well, can lay out the data clearly so there is no contention with resources, but can also literally run everywhere like Kubernetes can, right? That is where a Portworx, like a data platform like Portworx, really comes into play. Portworx is integrated closely into Kubernetes, works well with all the distros and all the cloud providers, and offers a whole lot of functions all the way from data management, storage backups and recovery, database orchestration, and DR for the entire suite of data management that is needed in order for us to effectively run, for a customer to effectively run these applications in production. The Portworx delivers all those capabilities in one single package. And with that, a customer can deploy like a Postgres or a Mongo or Sandra or any of these data intensive or databases or cloud native modern databases, and can get them to be enterprise ready to meet their compliance and regulatory requirements, meet their customers' increasing demands and scale. So they never have to manage these kind of databases in production anymore. And with the automation we bring to bear, you can support thousands of such databases in your environment, which is what happens if you go traditionally open and look under the hood of a modern enterprise. There are thousands of apps, they all leverage thousands of services, and it is hard for a small platform team or a DevOps team to manage all of them. And that is where Portworx really comes to aid to run those in a highly automated, self-managed, self-directed manner and deliver those services in production at scale.
Yeah, it looks like a data platform is kind of an orchestrator and provides services on top of Kubernetes. I mean, one of the things that people mention all the time is that Kubernetes is quite complex. So I assume that a data platform helps alleviates a lot of these problems. So why a data platform and why now?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Kubernetes has the kind of like, unfortunately, some people consider that a little complex. And I think when you're starting at a smaller scale, like a few nodes, yeah, it could be a little bit of a heavy lift to, get going Kubernetes going. But there are also good alternatives like, Minikube and all of that makes it easy for you. But uh, when would you leverage Kubernetes? When would you go build is when you a large scale Kubernetes cluster is when you actually build these internal developer platforms where you are thousands of developers trying to build tens of thousands of apps, and they all need to serve either internal users or external customers and have to leverage each other's services. Now that's an environment where Kubernetes, something like Kubernetes, comes to a great aid in helping run such infrastructure, right? Now, going from there, now Kubernetes gives you that application platform, right? Now if you can look at some of the popular distributions out there like OpenShift, Anthos, Rancher, they kind of bring together many capabilities and application platform needs, and then kind of give them in a single pane of glass, right? But what about data? Nobody has ever done that for data properly, right? I mean, there's so many point solutions, right? You can go buy, work with a connector, which is a bad approach. Then you can go work with some of the open source products, which are never built for something like containers from the ground up. Or you can go like get, like from a backup vendor who traditionally has built machine-based backups and get them to do Kubernetes backups, which are application native constructs. So that wouldn't work very well. And then you can work with the myriad database vendors, thousands of them out there, thousands of operators out there, and figure out how to run that in your infrastructure. Now that is where things get really complex, even though the real complete benefit of Kubernetes doesn't come out for enterprises. So what our customers have realized is when they deploy something like Portworx, which is a complete data platform that manages their storage needs, all the way from volume management, volume services, security, multi-tenancy, then they get the storage management capabilities out of the box. Then they can use our Portworx backup, which is part of the platform, to build data protection around not just the storage, but also around the many several databases and data services, either on-prem or on cloud. And then our PDS, our Portworx Data Services, which helps them orchestrate all the databases, and many data we support up to 16, all the way from Postgres to, we recently added SQL, like Microsoft SQL Server. We're going to add a few more AI/ML stacks, for LLMs and all of that into it as well. And it's a complete single pane of glass, day zero to day two deployment of all management of all the databases that customers use, the popular ones. But all of them come together to help customers deliver that experience to their application developers, to the platform teams, the smaller platform teams to work with very large application development groups. So what we found out was customers needed that, you know, one platform with many capabilities than many products that come together to bring one platform, which was they became the integrator and managed the customer relationships. And it was already a huge, humongous undertaking for the platform teams. And now they were managing vendors, and we wanted to simplify that. We wanted to offer all those capabilities in one platform so that customers know we support them from cradle to archive, all the way to birth to archive for the data, right? The entire data lifecycle.
Right. I'm pretty sure, many customers have many options. Do you have a feel why customers choose Portworx over others?
Absolutely. So number one, Portworx is built from the ground up, targeted towards cloud native modern workloads, containers, Kubernetes, and Kubernetes orchestrated resources, even like VMs that are now being orchestrated by Kubernetes. So it's built from the ground up for scale. And the second thing is Portworx is less opinionated about the infrastructure it is running on. That means it can literally virtualize almost all kinds of infrastructure. So customers can build a cloud neutral architecture that is multi-cloud ready, right? That they can take it to run their applications anywhere. Right? The third thing is Portworx delivers all the capabilities a large global 2000 enterprise needs in a single platform, right? And like I mentioned, we when they choose Portworx, because of our extensive experience and long production run with a lot of large customers, they get to invest in technology and a team that has built this and run this over many years. And all of that shows in the product as to how installation works, how upgrades go seamlessly, how they can do backup and DR and then get their data back. All of that gets delivered in one platform. So that's something that's easy for customers to consume because all these products interplay well with each other, deliver the solution, right? And Portworx, if you look at Portworx, we have been around since the birth of containers and Kubernetes. So we have closely worked with the community and and made our products work with all the major distributions, all the major cloud providers, all the major data services and applications. So you get a lot of that knowledge built into the product. So you don't have to have a large team to manage your large infrastructure because Portworx becomes your DevOps assistant, practically a platform assistant, where it manages the infrastructure to a large extent. So you can have a smaller team, to deliver the higher impact. So there's a tremendous cost savings that customers benefit by running Portworx, both in on-prem as well as in cloud. In cloud, it's even more pronounced, the cost savings, because Portworx is thinly provisioned. They can pay, they can only, all they need to use, they can use the resources, just the resources they need. They don't need to over provision and overpay for the cloud providers. And Portworx scales with their cloud deployments. If their load goes up, Portworx scales. The load goes down, the Portworx scales down. So it's a very agile and nimble stack that it runs with the customers' needs, scales with the customers' need. That's something that our customers really appreciate a lot because it helps them get their costs under control. And also the last one is Portworx is the only solution that delivers encryption in flight, at rest, and storage and data multi-tenancy in a large environment. You could bring many application groups onto the same platform, and they can literally work on the same platform without ever having to step on each other's data or data leaks between them because Portworx delivers per volume encryption and storage multi-tenancy, right? And these are the few reasons why I've seen customers adopt Portworx at scale.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I hear the same thing. It's people are looking for a single platform and all-in-one services. So it's unavoidable to talk about data and AI nowadays. So what is the Portworx AI ML strategy for the data platform?
So it'll be surprising to hear that Portworx has always been part of a lot of AI ML development, even before this new generative AI or chat GPT driven generative AI craze, right? I mean, because look, Kubernetes is built for scale out workloads. And if you really look at many of the data science workloads or the AI ML workloads, they are scale out in nature. So that means you can distribute or you can run many models in parallel to train them, or you can distribute the data to be parallel and have the same model train on different parts of the data set. And we were part of, for example, a self-drive, like autonomous car use cases, even in 2017, where there were large sets of data training was happening on Portworx clusters in a couple of autonomous car development companies. And we have always been part of cyber fraud detection, where there's an AI that is trained to detect fraudulent patterns and alert their customers in real time. So Portworx has been an instrumental part in many of the AI technology that has been developed in the past few years. But what has happened now, we have seen customers deploy AI and AI stacks at scale on Portworx. We have customers deploying hundreds of thousands of Jupyter notebooks with about 700 to 800 data scientists working in parallel on a lot of data that's coming through, for example, from manufacturing or retail. We have customers using it now for supply chain analytics and kind of moving to like a more self-driven enterprise model. We have also customers using it for kind of investment funds and hedge funds kind of use cases where they can kind of predict how the market is going to turn, like look at the trends, the macroeconomic trends, and the ones that influence like a kind of a daily stock market, and kind of make those trades. So we have customers using that. We have see them used extensively in in places like autonomous car development, and all of the self-driving use cases that we see as well. And overall, we support all of the major AI ML stacks today, like Jupyter notebooks, TensorFlow, Horovod, Neo4j. I mean, and all of the. We also are working on integrating more vector databases and enabling customers to kind of build their own large language models on any infrastructure, and also enable folks to do training at the core, as well as inference at the edge. Because Portworx can deploy both, be deployed in core on the edge, and we have customers running them in those kind of use cases as well. So overall, we have always been AI ready. We're now being deployed even more on many of the AI's use cases than ever before.
Right. So you already kind of answered my next question, which is when we talk about AI, there are two components, right? There's the training aspect and then the inference slash production,
Mhm.
which have significantly different requirements from a data perspective and infrastructure perspective. Do you consider the data platform as more targeted for training, more targeted for inference, or do you consider the data platform as an end-to-end solution?
I consider the data platform as an end-to-end solution because Portworx's agility and nimbleness enables us to scale to thousands of nodes in a cluster, or there are customers who are running Portworx in just 3 or 4 nodes in the edge, right? So typically inference happens a lot more closer to the edge, and you see there the customers are running Portworx clusters and then doing inference at the edge as well, right? So we see more than I'm considering it, we see our customers using it end to end in many of the use cases.
So you talked a little bit about some of the use cases. Are there any particular use cases that you're really proud of that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few use cases. One of the world's largest credit card companies runs Portworx for cyber fraud detection. I use them, so I know that their capabilities, that they deliver through their app is running on our technology, which I'm very proud of. We have large automakers that are running Portworx in their cloud infrastructure that delivers everything from their dealer registration, dealer portals, internal inventory management, to even building their electric vehicles in their factories. In fact, about 150 factories run Portworx in the edge that manages all of their manufacturing lines for all of the EV production, which is, from talking about a sustainable future, we're kind of helping our customers get to the sustainable future faster, right? I mean, by helping them upgrade their infrastructure so they can deliver these services. That's something that I'm extremely proud of. That use case, been working with the customer a lot. We are deployed, in the core of some of the world's largest telcos. In fact, one of them runs all of their internal network ops and the internal messaging buses. Plus, they run all of their store kiosks applications on Portworx. It's thousands of nodes. Runs pretty much every possible data intensive stack you can think of in production at scale on multiple infrastructures, on-prem and cloud, and they are able to deliver some of the best customer experience you can see in the telecom space. And in fact, they take a lot of pride in technology helping them get into the top 3 telcos in the world, and their investment in technology has really paid off. And we are part of that story. We continue to be a part of that story, and something that I take a lot of pride in and being part. And I'm proud of all of our customers. I get the opportunity and the privilege to be part of some of the best technology transformation journeys our customers go through. There's another large manufacturer of and a building management company that has modernized their entire building management system on multiple clouds worldwide and is running Portworx and we are in one of those buildings ourselves. So every time I swipe my card and go into our office, I know that there's our technology at work that can, that is here, that gets us in and out of the office. And they do a lot of great stuff in analyzing how folks are using, how the spaces are being utilized, how they can kind of build a better employee experience for people coming in, especially in the post-COVID world. So there's a lot of that going on with Portworx. So pretty much any modern use case we are saying getting deployed on Kubernetes need platforms like Portworx, and we see customers adopt them. So yeah, incredibly honored and privileged and proud to be part of our customers' journeys.
Yeah, when you talk about self-driving cars, I'm thinking mission critical. So what can you tell us about the challenges of running mission critical applications on Portworx?
Yeah. So, Portworx generally, eliminates, all of your major challenges, right? But what I have generally observed, and I always tell our customers when I talk to, is that always think about architecting for the future, right? Many times people think, oh, I can just get this use case running. I'm just going to run in a few nodes. I'll think about scale later. But lo and behold, scale hits them a lot faster than they imagine. And then they are now tinkering and re-architecting their infrastructure to suit the scale. So my humble, I wouldn't say, I mean, advice is free, but my humble suggestion and request to practitioners out there is to think future and future proof it and architect it right from the get-go, right? I mean, folks like us, Portworx, can bring a lot of value and make you successful earlier in the journey if you engage us than later in the journey when things are not going great. And of course, we are happy to help customers in any part of their journey, but it's just more they go through a much tougher time kind of transforming because of that, the turn they took, right? The other thing is to pay close attention to business continuity and DR, right? Many times it's deceiving to say, hey, I have a few databases that are running, but they are not, there's only like a few terabytes, but those few terabytes could be very critical for a business, right? So always, like, or there could be human errors, we could that could run, and we have customers who had fat fingered, a command, and then and blew away clusters, and then they had Portworx backup so they could immediately restore and run, right? So those kind of human errors can happen. That is unavoidable, right? I mean, it's in an environment. So again, predict, and then architecting it right to protect against any disasters to ensure their business continuity is very, very important, and to do it right, doing it right helps them get there. The third thing is costs, right? We have a lot of options today. From all the way to free software to cloud hosted services. I always say, look, there's nothing is free, and nothing is as easy. If it is, when somebody says it's easy, there's a lot of costs associated with them, especially you see it in the cloud as well, right? I mean, so just be aware of the costs, right? When you want to, and you want to make sure that you have the visibility into costs and you can control your costs. That means you need to own your data end to end, right? And then you get a lot of control of your costs, because again, what looks like a smaller data set to begin with can really multiply fast when you're running at scale and you're onboarding a lot of apps, and then it becomes harder to control and re-architect. So look at the cost first. If you make the right investments, you'll actually get a lot of cost savings in the future. Another thing is about security, right? Pick a solution that kind of thinks security end to end, right? I mean, and architect your application platform for security, because onboarding a lot of apps and then rethinking security is not just a lot of work for the platform teams, but it puts a lot of pressure on the application teams. So the overall platform suffers for adoption and such, right? So again, architecting that right for security is also some will help us surmount some of the challenges later. Yeah. So a few things, I generally recommend our customers to kind of think through as they kind of like build out for scale.
Yeah, I think security is definitely a big one. I think ransomware and the ability to recover quickly
Yep.
with a great ROI is really key. I mean, there's so many topics we still could address, but unfortunately, we have reached the end of this interview. So, Venkat, do you have any last comments or remarks?
No, thank you so much for having me. This, I'm happy. I'm really happy that I could share some of what we are doing, how our customers are running, and the thoughts around some of the use cases. If you want to learn more about Portworx, you can visit our website www.portworx.com. You can also reach out to us on LinkedIn and Twitter, and we're happy to answer any questions. And if you have any journeys, any needs that you think we can be of assistance, please ping us anytime.
Well, Venkat, thank you for joining me today. As far as I am concerned, you can find me also on LinkedIn and Twitter as Frederic V. Haren, and at conferences talking about AI or helping enterprises improve their business with AI solutions. And so recently I did an interview on the differences between traditional AI, ML, and DL on LinkedIn and YouTube. So check it out if you want to learn more. And so that concludes the interview. So thank you for joining us for this Gestalt IT Tech Talks interview. I have written an article to accompany this discussion, which you can find at gestaltit.com. And you can also find more videos like this one at youtube.com/Gestalt IT video. And this Tech Talks interview was brought to you by Portworx, by Pure Storage, and by Gestalt IT, your home for IT coverage from across the enterprise.